You know, I saw this today, XR Peeps, and it reminded me of how corrupt large parts of our system are, whether it's judicial, educational, even financial, regulatory. Regulatorily speaking, we all know how corrupt that Gary Gensler guy is, and here this puts a really fine point on it. This is before he was ever SEC chair. Okay, he was working over at MIT. He knew exactly what XRP was and what it did and how it functioned. He knew it was not a security. And I've shown videos that in his own words he said so. But it is so corrupt and he's not even been punished yet. And I mean, in my view, I view it as an immensely illegal and criminal activity he engaged in by weaponizing his government job using taxpayer dollars against the very people who paid those taxes, against the American people, the very people he's sworn to protect. I view it as an illegal activity, a criminal activity, one for which he should be punished, stripped of any and all monetary gains that he achieved from the activity, any and all salaries. I believe this guy should be put in prison for a very long time. No pension, no retirement, no Social Security, none of that. I think he forfeit those rights. That's how I feel about these kinds of crimes, not just by him, but anybody engaged in those kinds of activities in government, financial services, and other things where they criminalize or they use the American taxpayer dollars against its own people, against its own will. We've seen too much of that. A lot of us have seen a lot of that. Those those Epstein emails that have been dumped. And man, there are so many references to Ripple and Stellar out there. They were definitely, the bad guys really didn't like Ripple and Stellar, and it's, I don't think it's a coincidence this guy was basically doing their bidding. So let's take a quick read at this. Smoke uncovered this. And here it says, yes, Gary Gensler knew of XRP's potential before pursuing a bad faith federal case against Ripple. This is a rare clip of Gary eloquently explaining the utility of XRP. Listen closely. Now we're going to listen to that video in a little bit, but before we do, I want to point you to another document. This is part of what came out of that Epstein dump, and I'm going to enlarge it, read through some of this up here with you, but I'm going to let you read through this piece down here, so you can understand how the bad guys are these guys up here that are talking amongst themselves, thought of Ripple and Stellar. So Patrick O'Reilly over here he says, I told you all 31 December of 2022 that Gary Gensler was directed through Epstein and Mossad to go after Ripple and XRP. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin Foundation was backed by Epstein. The Bitcoin Foundation was backed by Epstein. Now you know it's true. This is not the only piece of evidence pointing in that direction. There's other things. But this is coming from the horse's mouth. This is the latest government release of those Epstein emails. And it's basically just referring to Ripple and Stellar. So let's enlarge this a little bit again. And I'm going to let you pause, enlarge, and read all this. But I can tell you that that the byline over here, the subject right there, says Stellar, not so stellar. It's talking about Jed McCaleb, who co-founded Ripple and Stellar Lumens, right? XLM. And in this body of email here, there he talks about Ripple. And not backing two horses to do the same thing or whatnot. My guess, my thinking is they were trying to come up with what everybody already knew. There was going to need to be a replacement to the US dollar, to the American financial system. But the old guard wanted to be in control, not of the new system as well as the old one that they once controlled. And the way to do that is through Ethereum, which, if you recall, Ethereum is a JP Morgan coin. They funded its beginning, and it's admitted to by Vitalik Buterin himself on video. And same with Joseph Lubin also. He's admitted to the same thing on video. So JP Morgan funded the whole thing. JP Morgan banked Epstein. JP Morgan banked Mt. Gox, the first crypto exchange. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, always said, oh, Bitcoin is a pet rock. But boy, he backed it the whole way through, didn't he? And And so you just have to draw this line and say, wow, this is really bad behavior, and it hurt a lot of investors. And they were trying to kill the crypto industry, at least the part of it that didn't align with their agenda, with what they wanted. Ripple's always talked about a level playing field. You hear President Trump talking about a level playing field. This is the kind of thinking that makes sense to me as an investor. I don't want manipulation. But we have a heck of a lot of manipulation. So when they put Gensler, when Biden put Gensler in the SEC as chair, a man who admittedly, through his own words, and you're about to see it again on video in a second here, understood exactly what Ripple was, but his whole case was built on the exact opposite belief, that it was a security, that it didn't have utility, blah, 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 blah. All these things, and the SEC, the rules were already clear. Well, if they were so clear, why are we engaging in legislation for the Clarity Act? Because we have to. And both sides of the aisle are engaged in it. So somebody was lying. Who was in charge back then? Was it Democrats or Republicans? Oh, it was Democrats. But even the Democrats, a bunch of them are admitting, hey, yeah, we've got to get this Clarity Act done. Of course, they want to see it done through their view, right? Through their worldview, and the Republicans want to see it through their worldview. Nobody's going to be completely happy, but it's got to be a level playing field. And only in that way does it really benefit all of us, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. So check out the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and bookmark. This is a little more serious video, but I mean, this is serious business. A lot of blockchains were destroyed. Library comes to mind. That was a great blockchain. Go look up Library. And the SEC bigfooted them, they destroyed them, and I think they lied through their teeth under Gary Gensler in alignment with this agenda here from these people, and they destroyed a very good project. Anyhow, take a look at it, let me know what you think. We'll see you guys on the next one. Till next time, adios amigos.
Yes, much of the cost is because you're moving from one ledger to another. Sorry to get sort of down into the accounting, but you're moving from one fiat currency to another fiat currency, which are in essence kept on two different ledger systems called two different commercial banking systems in, did you say Tanzania to Nigeria? So you have two different ledger systems. And over the centuries, the whole process of Nostra accounts and the setting up of the account base to do that. It can be done on blockchain. And between two central banks, but the thinking is that you might need some bridge currency between Tanzania and Nigeria, and there's a number of blockchain technologies that do that. That basically, instead of SWIFT, which is just a messaging system, and then the banks have to somehow pre-fund in Nostra accounts. I hope I didn't lose too many people, but this is about the technology of banking, not the technology of blockchain. To go between Tanzania and Nigeria, you need somebody to bear some counterparty risk that the ledgers both move and are adjusted at the same time. And usually it's a bank that is in both countries. You could use blockchain, but the current thinking is you need a bridge currency in between, and that bridge could be a stable value that's backed by the US dollar or the euro. It could be a currency even like Ripple has an alternative. It's just piloted in May, so it's not yet up in any enterprise-wide level. But that you might need something to basically hop, skip, jump. I don't know the currency of Tanzania, but Tanzanian currency to skip to Nigeria, you might need something in the middle, which is called a bridge currency.